Socrates of Athens was born into a modest household, the son of a sculptor named Socrates and a midwife named Phaenarete. From an early age, he was surrounded by two very different kinds of craftsmanship. His father carved beauty from stone, while his mother helped bring human life into the world. These influences shaped the foundation of Socrates' philosophical outlook, that both truth and potential were hidden and required effort and insight to be brought into the light. As a young boy, Socrates watched his father work tirelessly with hammer and chisel, striking stone with precision. One day, he asked how he chose the right tools and the right places to strike in order to form the image of a lion. His father, caught up in his work, gave him an answer that would echo throughout Socrates' life: to sculpt, one must first see the lion imprisoned in the stone, and then free it. This metaphor of seeing beyond the surface left a deep impression on the young boy. His curiosity extended beyond art and craftsmanship. When he asked his mother about her role as a midwife, she explained that she did not create life but merely helped bring it forth. Socrates grasped a profound truth from her answer: knowledge, like life, is not created by the teacher but revealed through dialogue and effort. Truth existed within every person, hidden beneath layers of ignorance, waiting to be delivered. Growing up, Socrates was not considered attractive. In a society that prized physical beauty, his rough features made him the subject of mockery. But this only led him to deeper questions. Why were some people born beautiful and others not? Why did outward appearance matter so much? These questions pushed him inward, away from superficial judgments and toward the search for inner truths. He spent time in workshops, not to learn trades, but to understand people. At a potter's shop, he once asked why some pots were more beautiful than others. The potter replied simply that a beautiful pot is one without defects. Socrates understood then that beauty and value were not just in appearance but in the absence of flaws, an idea he would later apply to ethics and the human soul. Despite his parents' hopes, Socrates could not become a sculptor. He lacked interest in stones and carvings, but he loved engaging in long conversations with the customers and passers-by. He was far more intrigued by people, their beliefs, thoughts, and contradictions. Athens at the time was a bustling city, admired for its architecture, art, and democracy. Ships came from distant lands, and visitors marveled at its marble statues and democratic assemblies. While others admired Athens' external glory, Socrates questioned the very ideas that sustained it. What is justice? What is virtue? What makes a life meaningful? His questions were relentless, and he drew new ones from every answer he received. His method was simple but powerful: he asked questions. And when answers were given, he examined them thoroughly, often exposing their flaws through more questions. This method, now known as the Socratic method, was revolutionary. It frustrated many and fascinated others. As he grew older, Socrates began attracting a following, particularly among the youth. But his ideas also stirred discomfort. His questioning extended to the gods themselves. He could not understand why beings said to be perfect and divine acted with such human flaws: jealousy, rage, and vengeance. Most people answered his doubts with myths passed down through generations, but Socrates wanted rational answers, and those were rarely given. His turning point came with a man named Anaxagoras, a philosopher who observed the sky and concluded that the sun and moon were not gods but physical objects, rocks in space. He even claimed that the moon did not shine on its own but reflected the light of the sun. These ideas were radical, dangerous even, and Anaxagoras was soon exiled from Athens. When Socrates was asked if he agreed with Anaxagoras, he simply said he had not yet reached a conclusion, neither denying nor supporting the claims. But this neutrality itself caused suspicion. The incident deeply influenced Socrates. He realized that questioning alone was not enough. One needed to discuss and debate with others, especially those with different perspectives and experiences. So he took to the streets and marketplaces, speaking with anyone willing to engage: politicians, craftsmen, poets, and generals. He didn't claim to have the answers, but believed that through honest questioning, truth could be uncovered. Despite the risk, his following grew. His students included young men from influential families, such as Plato and Crito, who saw in Socrates a man of rare integrity and wisdom. Even the oracle at Delphi, the mouthpiece of the god Apollo, declared Socrates the wisest man in Athens. When his devoted student Chaerephon brought him this news, Socrates was surprised. He believed himself to be ignorant and thought perhaps that was what made him wise, that he was aware of how little he truly knew. Among his pupils was Alcibiades, a charming and ambitious aristocrat. Alcibiades sought the approval of Socrates, but the philosopher was unmoved by his beauty and status. This made Alcibiades admire him even more. However, after a failed military campaign in Sicily, Alcibiades defected to Sparta. His betrayal of Athens turned public sentiment against him, and by association, against Socrates. Soon, playwrights began mocking Socrates in their comedies, portraying him as a corrupter of youth and a man who denied the gods. These plays made him a public target. Then came the Peloponnesian War, a devastating 27-year conflict between Athens and Sparta, which ended in Athens' defeat. Many believed that the gods had punished Athens for turning away from tradition and allowing men like Socrates to challenge sacred beliefs. His questioning of democracy didn't help either. Socrates once argued that not everyone should vote on matters of state, just as not everyone was qualified to captain a ship. He believed that democracy was a skill, and only the wise should participate in certain decisions. These ideas clashed with the values of Athens. In 399 BC, the city's authorities charged Socrates with corrupting the youth and introducing new gods. He was brought before a jury of 500 citizens. The trial was swift, 3 hours for the prosecution, 3 for the defense. Instead of defending himself in the traditional way, Socrates used the time to challenge the charges, the court, and the very principles on which the city stood. He refused to beg for mercy or deny his beliefs. He even suggested, mockingly, that he deserved a reward, not punishment. The jury found him guilty by a narrow margin. According to the law, Socrates was allowed to suggest an alternative punishment, such as exile, but he refused. His friends, especially Crito, begged him to flee. They had even arranged to bribe the jailers and help him escape. But Socrates declined. He believed it was wrong to break the law, even unjust laws, for doing so would undermine the very principles he lived by. In his final days, Socrates remained calm. He believed death was either a peaceful sleep or a chance to meet the souls of the departed. On the appointed day, he drank a cup of hemlock poison. Surrounded by his students, he walked around his cell until the poison numbed his limbs. He lay down, covered himself with a sheet, and in his final moments, reminded Crito to repay a small debt, a rooster owed to Asclepius, the god of healing. Then he fell silent forever. Socrates died as he had lived, faithful to reason, unafraid of death, and committed to truth above all else. His death shook Athens and left a lasting legacy that would shape Western philosophy for centuries to come.